Governor, you have a long record of championing environmental issues. What's your reaction? Was it a fair deal? Was Exxon let off the hook?
You have to understand that Exxon is already committed to clean it up, and that's a number that they don't seem to have any problems with. But there's something else in the law called natural resources damages. That's what this is all about, this controversy. And the state has concluded, DEP presumably, has concluded that the damages that have been put on the state are something like almost $9 billion. Settling for $225 million clearly is inappropriate.
But Governor Christie has said that this is the largest settlement in state history in terms of this kind of an issue. So does that put it in some kind of a perspective that it is a fair deal, a fair decision?
Large doesn't mean fair. And what we have is a situation where it's probably the largest damage claim that the state has made as well. 3 cents on the dollar is not a good deal. There's lots of things that we have to be compensated for. The controversial part of what is going on is that the settlements are not adequate, and then over and above that, the settlements are not used for the purposes they were supposed to be used for. They've been diverted over into the budget to deal with the budget problems, pension problems. And that's one of the things that the credit agencies are having problems with. These one-shot piles of money that go in that are not going to be replicated. And so the budget has a serious problem going down the road. So I think this whole idea of siphoning off money from other parts of responsibilities, whether it be environmental, housing, it's a policy that's been pursued for the last number of years, and it's really fiscally not sensible, and environmentally is not good either.
So you, as a former governor, certainly had challenging budget times during your term in office. You know what that is like to face. This kind of an agreement should not include a portion of that money when, in troubled times, it might be needed to help balance the state budget, should not be moved over to the general fund.
Well, there are other things to deal with beside the budget. There are things in the budget that have to be financed, and it's a zero-sum situation. If you're going to take this money away from environmental programs designed to remediate some of the difficulties and put it into something else, you've got a problem. And therefore, if the monies were settled for an environmental problem, it should be applied to environmental problems as opposed to bailing out your budget deficiencies.
Help us to understand the consequences of the loss of wetlands in this case. 1,500 acres in Linden and in Bayonne. What are we as New Jerseyans to understand about the loss of that kind of sensitive environmental area?
Well, wetlands are water purifiers. The wetlands are there to purify the water. They're there for flood control. If you start filling in the wetlands, what you end up doing is having no percolation of the water down into the aquifers. It's something that's very important. I mean, the federal law is clearly there that you can't be desecrating the wetlands. And now with current climate changes, with droughts occurring more and more, they become that much more important.
How does the state monitor these kinds of cleanups and whether or not they are adequately done? What's involved in that process?
Well, the EPA at the federal level is involved in some of the cleanups. DEP, Department of Environmental Protection in New Jersey, is involved in other cleanups. And they have a responsibility to go monitor all of these things. Part of the problem in New Jersey is that the DEP has good people at the top, but they're losing people. They're losing people because of pension problems and other types of things, and they're not replacing them because of the budget considerations. So the state is not doing the job it should be doing if it had a full complement of workers.
Thank you, Governor, for sharing your perspective on this issue.
You're welcome.